Welcome to Plymouth Community Television. It's Scott Richards, and we have brought back Time Out with Scott Richards. I think our timeout was a two-year timeout. It's homecoming week, and that's a lot of fun for the Plymouth School District and the community, but it's also a 50th reunion this year, and we have invited one of our guests from the class of 1969 to visit us today, along with two young ladies. Black shirt is Katie Hoyne, student council member, and the gray sweatshirt is Grace Mooney, student council president. So we have the secretary and president, and we have a former student council member here, student council president. We've invited TonyEvers, class of 69, to visit us, and we're going to talk with them for a little bit. Tony, it's happy to see you again.
Good to be back in Plymouth. We've gone to every 50th or every reunion since time began. It seems like every 5 years. It's always good to be back in Plymouth. My wife's a class of 69er also, so it's good to be here, and it's good to hear from the students of today. We as time goes on, we tend to forget to hear their voices too. So it's good to be here with you guys, and looking forward to your questions.
Well, my question, Tony, is, it's been 50 years, so what have you been doing to keep yourself busy?
Well, I've been in education for the whole time, frankly, and spent some time being state superintendent of schools, and now I'm privileged to be the governor of the state of Wisconsin, which is something that I guess if I had to look back in 1969, it's something I never thought of and expected to be here as governor of the state. So, you may not be thinking of being governor, but you could become governor. Just remember that. So that's what I've been doing, Scott.
Well, and part of the reason, not just because Tony's governor, and we certainly are proud of Tony as governor, as a member of our class and a member of the community, but also what he does and what he's done as state superintendent. But the two young ladies that are sitting here are both in a lot of activities. And I know as a teacher, coach, community member, we've always encouraged kids to be involved. It's not always easy. Their time is precious, but they do a great job. So I'm going to give it over to Grace Mooney, president of the student council, and Katie Hoyne, secretary of the student council, to have a conversation with our governor. Here you go, girls.
All right. What is your favorite Plymouth High School memory?
I gotta take that back, the answer.
Yeah.
I think, actually, my favorite Plymouth High School memory was actually coming into the school. We were the first class to come into this used to be the new high school. We spent our freshman year at Riverview. And coming into this school, new school, it was a brand new school, lots of exciting things in it, a great career and technical education center, and just being the first class that got to be in the school was exciting. It kind of wore off after a period of time, but I'd say that was the most exciting thing I did.
How would you describe Plymouth to people who have never been here before?
Oh, great question. Plymouth is a special place, of course. We all feel that because we're here. I spent my whole life in Plymouth. It's just a great small town. It's got a great history. Obviously, the cheese capital of the world. When I ran for office, I always said, as you remember, folks, no matter where I was, I'd say Plymouth is the cheese capital of the world, and I was born and raised there. And that's frankly it's a history that many people don't realize. Cheese and agriculture in the state of Wisconsin is a huge multi-billion-dollar industry, and having that as a place that that people know Plymouth for, I think is really important. But it's also a place where people are hardworking and the kids are great, and we all get in trouble from time to time, but we're just good folks, and we work hard and we succeed. I think that's an important trait.
How does social media play a role in your campaign and career?
Well, The good news is I have people that I work with that do the social media, so I don't personally have to do it because I'd probably goof it up. But it plays a huge role, and you're seeing it playing out in politics now. You think of the kind of the national conversation that's going on now with the president. A lot of that is it gets ramped up and amped up because people get information much more quickly than they ever have before, and it plays out in negative ways too. When young people are bullying each other or messing around with that can ratchet that kind of emphasis and bad feelings ramps up real quickly too. So it's good and bad, but it certainly gets information out sooner and gets people involved more quickly. So I think that's a good thing, but the bad thing is that it's also easier to take it to a bad place real quickly too.
If you could get the legislator to pass one law, what law would it be?
Well, I have to tell you that being an educator for over 40 years, my heart's still around public education and make it sound. So we started in the last budget creating finding more money for schools, and I'd say that's still my top priority. You two may not feel it, but you are our future, and we're counting on you to carry on in a really good way, and that just can't happen without resources. So it is about making sure that schools have enough money and that the schools have a lot of resources and that everybody has an equal chance of learning.
Greta Thunberg, the 16-year-old Swedish climate change activist, recently spoke at the UN. She has organized school protests in which kids walk out on certain Fridays. How would you react to students in Wisconsin protesting in support of climate change?
Well, certainly climate change is a worthy thing to be concerned about. I'm concerned about it, and Greta's great. I think she has a great sense of humor. When the president tried to be sarcastic about her, she just grabbed right onto it and took him on. It was quite clever. She's a good I wouldn't say kid. She's just a great human being. But we have yes, climate change is something we have to take seriously, and the science is on the side of that. And so I whether it's walking out or doing something else productive, I just think having young people engaged on issues is really important. And I'll give you another example too, is the issue of gun violence. Those kids from Parkland High School in Florida, they've led the nation. I mean, you think about it, you have 16, 17, 18-year-olds telling adults what to do and actually getting adults to listen. That's extraordinary. I think the same thing is going to happen with climate change too, because young people, they're going to inherit the earth and they want it to be a place that they can enjoy. And so I applaud that effort, because not only is it important for young people to be involved, but it's science. Science tells us that this is an accurate phenomenon and we just can't ignore it. So take it on.
What is the biggest change you've seen in Wisconsin in the last 50 years?
I would say, and this seems kind of hokey, I think, but a whole bunch hasn't changed. And I know people always try to put young people in a box. Okay, this generation is worse than the generation before and generation before. And I think Mr. Richards talked about it too. I think kids are as good and as smart and as dedicated as they are now than when I went to high school 50 years ago. So the thing that is unchanging is that, I feel very good about that. What has changed a lot, I'd say, in the last several years, is people's concern about the environment is ratcheting up, and I think one of those things that has caused that to happen is people care about whether the water they drink is clean or not, and it's a basic. You think, do I want to drink this water because it's polluted? Well, no. And I think there's general consensus that probably didn't exist 20 years ago at least, that we really have to protect our most important resource outside of young people, and that's water. And who wants to consume bad water? And so I think that issue has changed dramatically in the last 20 years, and that's a good thing. And we can't afford to lose our resources of water. More questions? Last one for Mr. Richards.
Well, I guess, do you have any questions for the girls at all?
Yeah, I do. First of all, what do you like about Plymouth High School? And second of all, I think the media and others have put young people in this box by saying, they spend all their time bullying each other and having high drama, things like that. Do you think that's accurate? And so those are the two questions I have.
Well, what I personally like about Plymouth is all the stuff you can be involved in, like athletics and clubs. And I also really like a lot of my teachers and kids from other schools that I've met. I don't think they have as big of a connection as I do with the teachers and that I've met. How about you?
My favorite part about Plymouth is really the atmosphere. It's just a big community here. Like she was saying, I have a connection with most of my teachers. I can talk to them about stuff outside of school that I need help with or anything. And they just make me feel like I'm important and that I am the future.
There you go. How do you feel about that, being the future?
I mean, it's kind of nerve-wracking because I'm not totally sure about what I want to do or what I want to be when I grow up. But I know, like, from teachers and other people that I look up to, everyone has a plan, but everyone's plan changes a little, and that's okay. And people just end up where they're supposed to be when they need to be.
Governor. How about
exactly.
that? So, but both of you, if you could answer the question about, people people like to categorize people, and I think young people get kind of the short end of the stick on that, where they think every high school student is spending time bullying each other or having high drama, things like that. Is that an accurate perception?
I mean, it's hard because everyone stereotypes and puts people in boxes, but I feel like most people just need to be comfortable enough in themselves, and then they're okay with who they are. I mean, social media does play a big part on that, where people are bullied or treated badly for who they are. But I think there's also a ton of other people out there that help them and support them through their challenges.
Yeah, that's great.
I've met people who do fit stereotypes like that, but most people are not like that. A lot of people are mature and don't fit into those stereotypes that we see.
Great. Good. There you go, Mr. Richards.
Well, we want to thank you, Tony, for giving up some of your time on our big weekend. It's interesting looking back in 50 years ago and what it'll be like 50 years from now with the two gals sitting here, so many. And the question about the school, we've had situations recently where we saw kids reach out to other kids and really take them under their wings and take care of them. And I've always said that's what makes Plymouth pretty special. Being involved is important. Who'd have thought the two of us would be sitting here doing this 50 years ago? But I think, the girls, I met them a week ago, roughly a week ago, and they get to meet this knucklehead old grandpa. Well, maybe not that old yet, but I never met him before. And boy,
you're keeping that knucklehead thing?
Yeah, knuckleheads. I've been called that way too many times. But to get to know them and to see what things are like with them, and I knew one of their dads a little bit a while ago, but they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And they're examples though. They're not unique to the situation. They're examples of some pretty neat things about Plymouth and kids in general. Although I guess we have to call them kids, but we have to call a lot of people kids now at our after 50 years. So I do thank Governor TonyEvers for coming here. Grace Mooney, President. Katie Hoyne, secretary, and Gary Kaiser for helping us do our interview with our 50th reunion member and governor of the state of Wisconsin, TonyEvers. Scott Richards for Time Out and Plymouth Community Television, thank you.